I try to make jewelry that people feel like themselves in. Like, I want you to feel more like you when you put this on. Like, you found the treasure you've been looking for your whole life. My parents teach at this boarding school, and they teach art history and sculpture and design. And growing up, I was constantly quizzed by my mother about, you know, we'd see a building, and she'd ask me who built it, or when it was built, or what was happening in the world when that building was built, or about this painting, what school of painting was that from, why was that school of painting important. So I was trained, like, as second nature to just sort of suss something up when I see it. I find a thing, and I just can't help but think, oh, that's a late 19th century French, or that's, you know, 16th century Italian, or feels like, I mean, I'm no expert. I can give you kind of like a broad sense. I know if something's Baroque, or if it's neoclassical or Rococo. There's something about jewelry that, like no other artifact, I mean, architecture and sculpture lasts, you know, we have architecture from 5,000 years ago, sculpture from even further back. Jewelry, in a way, is the only other thing. It's the only kind of fashion that exists that length of time. And I really believe, not to be like overly spiritual about it, but there's a certain kind of, you inhabit that thing. I mean, you're only renting it, basically. I mean,
right, it's going on to the next.
It's going to go on to the next person. And I like to think of myself as sort of being part of that continuum. I'm wearing this really gorgeous carnelian and rose gold ring. It's, I think it's Aries, I'm not really sure. I'm not an Aries, but I like with the tattoos and then this very classical ring. This is my niece, my sister's daughter, Coco. These are the birds that I got tattooed when I was 21, when I decided I would never work for the man again. This is cynical romantic, which is a funny thing you get when you're like 18, when you don't really know much about anything. This is a classic American biker tattoo, Fuck the World, FTW, but in Land's End monogram font. I thought it was a little like harkening back to my roots. Yeah. But, you know, I grew up at the age of the Preppy Handbook. Like, that book came out when I was in, like, about to go into junior high, and it really, like, codified the world, you know, of Palm Beach that I kind of grew up in. So, it really, I don't know. I think about it a lot, so when I buy loafers now, I giggle, because I spent years rebelling against the loafer. I was like, as soon as I could, you know, I had, like, pierced ears and long hair and Doc Martens in the late 80s. These are my oldest jeans. My favorite jeans are Helmut Lang. They're one of the first, like, I guess, designer goods I ever bought in 1996 or 7. I bought them, and I still have them. They're cherished jeans. This is a bandana, just an old bandana, and just a Stephen Allen shirt. I tend to put something on Monday, and then maybe I wear it in a version all week long. You know, it's been years since I had Oxblood Docs. You know, like all through the 90s, I was like, oh, I'm never wearing Doc Martens again. And then suddenly I was like, I love these. But I just love the shape, this kind of 80s shaker knit. This is how I feel most comfortable when I'm in the studio working. And then I'll wear it out. You know, I feel like it's got a little bit of workwear, but it's not too costumey. Really fascinated with this idea of a kind of sleeker 70s, not really minimal, but like just a different aesthetic than something I've been exploring. And it felt a little bit like kind of a Cartier thing, but it's something I made and has this, you know, I cast this from like a real ball chain piece. And I just like how simple it is. An old, like sliver remnant of a bandana. This reversible satin Japanese, like Yokohama. I guess it's made out of parachutes. I got it in Berlin. Really randomly. They had great shopping in Berlin. There's like good stuff there. Really, I mean, I remember when I found that thing that the first piece of jewelry, or the first thing I saw that really like made me start thinking about the world in a different way. You know, it was a way that a woman that was my best friend's mom wore jewelry. Actually, when I met Mrs. Jones, my best friend's mom, and they moved to St. Andrews when I was a kid, she wore all this like they had all these crazy antiques, and she also wore every ancestor's like wedding ring and baby ring up on her little fingers, and all this junk. And she would be out there in the yard smoking a cigarette, digging up a ditch to put a tree in, and she was wearing all the rings. You know, she didn't take it off. It wasn't like this is good stuff and this isn't good stuff. She just lived it. It was like and that's like, in a way, I know so many women like that now who are, you know, I mean, granted, I live in New York, so I'm going to meet more of that kind of person, but at the time, and I know this, that at the time in Florida, in that world, she was a unique creature. Part of what I do, I think, is to create jewelry that feels slightly familiar in the sense that maybe it was hardware, maybe it was part of something, but it's absolutely a piece of jewelry in the way it fits and the way you wear it. And so this has a lot of those things. It's kind of a primer for me, with the forged texture and all of my hallmarks and this beautiful finish. I mean, this comes from mostly from a loving wearer. When you come to my studio, the first thing you do is walk through the workshop to get to the showroom, because I want people to see that like there are craftsmen in New York City making things one at a time to go out into the world. It's very important. So I love to be inspired by jealousy in a way. I like to be like, look at something and be like, damn, why didn't I think of that? So for me, it's like, I think I do better work when there's people around me doing all of this incredible work. I find it like it really drives me. It's like an Olympic athlete of earrings. That's me.